Okay, it's time for the best part of a wedding. The bloke who was seeing off his drink is still standing up. At the back, sit down, thank you. Take a seat. This bit's not about you. Thanks. Okay, so it's time now to hand over to the father of the bride, and for me, that's obviously my Uncle Peter. Now, when Peter spoke, God, you lot just cheer at everything, blimey. Just let me speak. So, at Peter's 21st, I think Ella's a bit worried because at Ella's 21st, sorry, Peter's 21st, she wasn't there, but Ella's 21st, apparently Peter didn't actually mention Ella once in his speech. So, Peter, if you haven't written about Ella yet, can you add a line in, please, towards the end? And for those of you who don't know, my Uncle Peter was a pilot for his career. And so, before every speech he's ever done, somebody has stood up and said, your life jacket is under your seat, and in case of emergency, the exits are here, here, and here. And please be aware, your nearest exit may be behind you. Thank you, Uncle Peter.
Thank you very much. Well, there was quite a gap in time from the time I realised I was going to be the father of the bride until someone pointed out that I had to give a speech. And it's quite a frightening thing to be confronted with a blank piece of paper and told to write a speech that really does justice to such a lovely lady as a lovely girl as my daughter Ella. So I'm here today to welcome you to Ella and Nikki's wedding breakfast, and to welcome Nikki into our family. As Sasha said, I have to talk about my daughter. I'm very proud of my beautiful daughter Ella Isabella Louisa. She's the kindest, sweetest girl any father could ask for. She cares so much for others. She's very accomplished in all aspects of her life. I would like to give thanks to all the people who helped Ella grow up into the fine and lovely woman that she is. Her school friends, yes, pony club friends, university friends, and her many cousins in Kent, yeah, in Hampshire, yeah, Devon, and London, and most of all, the family. I would like to thank my beautiful wife Caroline for her considerable and continuing love and support for both Ella and Ross. And also I'd like to thank her 4 grandparents, including my Irish mother, who raised her 4 grandchildren largely on a diet of mashed potato. And also, of course, Ella's French grandmother, whose food was much more varied, thankfully. My sister Carol has been a great source of guidance and support in Ella's life generally, and in her horsey life in particular. It is Ella's love of horses that made her into the wonderful woman she is today. When she took on her first pony at the age of 10 years old, I foolishly thought that it would just be a passing phase. Would she get up at 6 o'clock every morning to look after him and put him in the field, even on cold, dark, rainy winter mornings when all her other school friends would still be tucked up in bed? Ella said yes, she would. Really? We said. She said yes. Caroline and I pointed out the considerable commitment that was, but Ella said yes, she would. And she kept her word. Ella did get up every morning. It was only very rarely that she ever asked for help. Her first pony was little Scooby-Doo. Scooby was originally bought for Steffi to be kept at Wimbledon Village Stables, but unfortunately Scooby freaked out at the sight of the big red London buses, not to mention the fire engines and the ambulances and the police cars that would often go blues and twos up the high street. So as a result, Scooby had to be moved to the quieter surroundings of Claygate, where she became Ella's pony. He became Ella's pony. I'm sorry, it does say he here. Where Scooby became Ella's pony. Scooby was a lovely little pony, but still had a full range of challenging pony behaviours. So Ella had to rapidly learn how to manage all this, and as well as develop the physical skill to hold on to Scooby. One time, regularly, when we did need to help Ella, was in the afternoons, because Scooby was a very difficult pony to catch, and sometimes there were half a dozen of us rushing around that field trying to catch the pony. But it wasn't only equestrian skills that Ella learned at the stables. She also had to learn at a very early age how to manage people. The lady who owned the stables at Claygate might best be called a difficult woman. This lady had many rules for keeping horses in her stables. Not all of them were logical rules, not all of them were written down, and she would sometimes change the rules in her head without telling anyone. And if you got one of the rules wrong, she could be quite challenging to deal with. So Ella learned how to manage people. This early experience was a great help for Ella when she started in her first job working in event management, working for a powerful and demanding woman boss. And others in the office would burst into tears when they had sharp words from the boss. But Ella, luckily, this was all water off a duck's back for her because of her previous training. Although it was always a good idea to get things right the first time. And this was particularly important with the high net value individuals who are the clients in this event management company. Ella sometimes had to deal with sudden panics from her boss. One day the boss realised she'd left her handbag in a car in a taxi in London, and Ella was told, "Ella, find my handbag." And somehow Ella did. After COVID, Ella had to move on from event management and started just over a year ago in her new workplace. Her boss recently posted this message on social media about Ella. "Let us all put our hands together for Ella Stevenson, who 365 days ago came in to make all our lives better. Since joining, Ella has managed to improve every aspect of everything each of us do. She keeps the office running smoothly, strengthens our leadership team, and is responsible for many key initiatives that improve our time here." In her gap year, Ella was a working pupil of Harry Mead, the event rider, son of the famous Richard Mead, the triple Olympic gold medalist. The Meads are neighbours and friends of our new king and his sons living nearby at Highgrove. One day Ella was taking a difficult horse into a field and there was an accident where poor Ella was knocked down and kicked in the face by the horse. When she regained consciousness, she found she had a bag of frozen peas on her face. And there were people standing around her. One of these people standing around was described as a detective. And Ella was trying to work out why on earth is there a detective in a field in the Cotswolds? Was she at a crime scene? Ella remembers the detective asking someone behind her to pass something from the bag. And it was only later that Ella was told the man behind her had been His Royal Highness Prince William, who had been visiting the Meads that afternoon. Realising that she had blown her one and only chance of meeting a member of a royal prince, because she had a bag of peas in her face, she decided to look elsewhere for a marriage partner. And she decided, is there such a thing as cricketing royalty, I wonder? Yes. A player, possibly, who has taken over 500 wickets in his career. And in which county do you think this chap would live? So, the first time that Caroline and I met Nikki was a little bit stressful for Nikki. The whole extended family was having a short break in the beautiful Essex town of Malden. And we were already sitting down at a big long table at a restaurant in Malden when Nikki arrived late, having been playing in a cricket match. We'd all arranged ourselves around this table, so Nikki had to walk down the middle of the room with all of us staring at him. It's rather like when a Royal Navy officer comes up before a command board to be given his offered the command of his first ship, and there'd be a line of admirals sitting there looking at him, glowering. And there's always a squeaky floorboard he has to walk over. Anyway, luckily, Nikki was unfazed by that scrutiny. So over the last few years, we've got to know Nikki, and we've found that his qualities are a perfect match for Ella's. It is clear to Caroline and I that they are very much in love. Both Ella and Nikki's have interests which require great long-term commitments. 2 or 3 days a week, Ella has to get up at 5:30 to come down to Claygate to look after her horse. And I know Nikki shows great commitment to Upminster Cricket Club, often working there long hours to ensure the club and clubhouse are a great place to nurture young players and provide a fellowship for the older players. Ella manages also, in her hectic life, to find time to visit her grandfather on a regular basis. We are thrilled to have Grandad Jim here together, or Grandad Hole in the Head, as young Ella used to call him, on account of his bald patch. Jim is representing the last remaining of the grandparents here tonight. His wife Janine, and my parents Gladys and Walter, and Nikki's grandparents Roy and Teresa. We must remember them. Yeah. Another person we would like to honour tonight is Rahel Gabrasadig. Photograph of her is on the left on that table there. She is a remarkable young woman who, as an organ donor, saved the life of Nikki's young nephew Freddie at the age of 8 months old. When he received a liver transplant. Rahel is an angel, saving the lives of 6 people that day, and the Ison family are forever grateful to Rahel and her family for honouring her wishes. Freddie has gone from strength to strength, and have followed in Alan and Nikki's footsteps by starting cricket. You will see the Children's Liver Disease Foundation pin badge on your place settings, and you're most welcome to wear these today. And now to return to the theme of marriage. I feel enormously blessed to have known and had much support in my marriage from Ella, from your lovely mum, plus the joy that we shared through having you and Ross. And this is something we very much wish for you. So I'm going to propose 2 toasts now, so please check your glasses are full. First of all, I'd like to propose a toast to Ella and Nikki. May the future bring you happiness, and may you be blessed with children. Ella and Nikki. And the second toast is to the family and friends of Ella and Nikki, who've surrounded them with their love and support, and will continue to do so, I'm sure, whatever turbulence they find in their lives ahead. To the family and friends of Mr. and Mrs. Ison.
Thank you, Uncle Peter. I kept scribbling things down during Peter's speech because I hadn't really prepared much to say before Nikki came on, because I couldn't think about what to say. A few things. First of all, I think Ross was gutted. He only got a mention right towards the end of that speech. So for anyone that knows Ross, usually at the centre of the room, there he is. So there he is. He's up. Then Peter started talking about Nikki being introduced to the whole family in Malden. I was like, oh, I wasn't there. So who are all these people? But anyway, he passed the test, and we gave him a thorough trot up when he came to Wimbledon Village Stables. Now, he talked about shared commitments that Ella and Nikki have, mostly to drinking, I would say. That's what seems to bind them and what everyone is here to do. But Nikki, before I hand over to you, I was quite distressed in the church. The priest started giving you some advice about how going forward you should make shared decisions together. It should be about we. When he means we, he means what Ella says, and then you say we, okay? So that's all that you need to know. So we're really excited. Over to you.
Hey everyone, and welcome to our wedding. My wife and I are thrilled to have so many friends and family here today, and hope you enjoy the day as much as we are. We'd like to thank everyone for coming today, and especially the people who've travelled from further afield, from the likes of Devon, Guernsey, Edinburgh, and more exotic locations like Atlanta, Georgia, and Rotherham. I'm sure many of you will be thinking that having our big day at a cricket club was my idea, which is fair as a man who knows a thing or two about cricket, but all of this was Ella's vision. We've had 9 months to plan and execute this wedding, and we wouldn't be able to do it without the help of some amazing people. I would like to personally give my biggest thank you to Ant and Ali for bringing the cake here from Chelmsford. In one piece, thank God. thank you to Ross, Ant, Sophie and Vicky for standing up and doing the readings at the ceremony today. And we hope you enjoyed our reception pianist today, Adam, for playing for us. He is now gone, which is not was expected. I thought he'd be here, so we'll just ignore that one. Also, I'd like to thank Paige and Megan for reasons that will become clearer this evening, and of course our mistress of ceremony of the day, Sasha, a lady who spends her day ordering kids around, so this role will be second nature to her, absolutely. And then a big shout out to our page boys, Matthew, Freddie and Alfie. Freddie! And our flower girl, Olivia, who is currently about to destroy some Oreos and Smarties over there. How good we look today. Also I'd like to thank Sam and Tracy from the Cricket Club for having us here today, and Joe and Dale for this incredible spread, along with the bar and the waiting staff team. And not least, thank you goes to Kevin, our photographer, and Simon, our videographer. Good luck in producing some snaps of these lads. A few of them are from the cast of Trainspotting. I want to start by thanking Ella's lovely parents, Peter and Caroline. Since we first met in that Essex pub in 2018, I must say it felt good to be on home ground. You've always been very kind to me, and along with Ross and Jess, immediately it made me feel welcome in your family. Yes. I would also thank the rest of Ella's family, but if I started to name them all, we'll be here to Halloween. And many of them are not even blood relatives. Ella and I would like to thank you for your help and contribution to today. But I'm sure when you imagine your daughter, husband, on top of your list was maybe a tall, dark-haired lad, maybe a landowner with a trust fund, I don't know. So hopefully a heavily tattooed, curly-haired cricket nerd from Essex, who is the average height of a UK male, will do. Maybe just above average, I'm sorry. When I was planning to propose to Ella, I knew I had to get Peter's approval. I thought this would be a relatively simple task, but it proved to be harder than the actual proposal itself. The month leading up to our trip to Marlow, every time I would go around to see Peter, no one would be home. The week before, we had Peter and Caroline over for dinner, and I thought, yep, perfect time. When Ella popped upstairs for a wee, I'll quickly ask them both. Easy, one bottle of wine for Ella. 4 hours later, Ella did not go to the toilet once. Luckily, the family dog Maisie was staying with us that evening. New plan, drop Maisie off at the house the next morning and catch Peter then. Plan all set. However, as we were driving down the A3 in separate cars, Ella called me from her car saying she was coming to her parents' house for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So I sped up. Faithfully didn't call speeding. That was a couple of months later. And I got to the house roughly 1 minute before Ella arrived. In that time, I very quickly asked Peter his permission to marry his daughter. He sort of said yes. He said he was considering other suitors. I don't think any of them are here today. But looking over there, I don't know, maybe. Hi, Josh. Modders. I'd like to take this time to touch some absent guests. First of all, my nan, Teresa. Yeah. She was a great girl. Yeah. And who up to her 90th birthday was still in the South End casinos, playing three-car Pona and loving life, and spending my inheritance. One of my favourite memories from my childhood is going to the Pie and Mash shop in Romford with her, 2 and 2, always. And also my granddad Roy, who I'm told I get my good looks from. We are happy that Ella's granddad Jim is here with us today. Jim has been very excited in the lead up, preparing his suit and what's happened, Ella. Weekly countdowns to the big day. I know Ella feels very lucky to have your aunt still, Jim, and she has so many wonderful childhood memories of Janine in Merawala, learning to cook, watching westerns together, and picking up the Tate's cup of tea habit. And Ella's paternal grandfather, Walter, a Scotsman, and our Irish nanny, Gladys, sound like wonderful characters as well, and I'm sure they'll be very proud of you today. I'd like to say a big thank you to my parents for everything over the years. You did everything for us, and we're always appreciative of that.
No, I love you both.
Dad, first of all, I want to apologise for my choice in football team back in '95. I'm a Manchester United fan for my sins, and as you, an avid West Ham fan, who spent the 80s running up down the chicken run with the likes of Cass, Ray Winston and Danny Dyer, it must have been awful to spend your hard-earned money at the MUFC megastore as you transform 9-year-old Nikki's bedroom to a shrine to Roy Keane and Nicky Butt. However, if you catch him at the bar later, hear some cracking stories from his West Ham away days, and one absolutely golden tale from about a car in East Ham from his time as a banger racer. It is, it's not PG for this, but it's golden. Mother, you've always been there to protect us and support us.
I love you.
I thank you for my love of soul and Motown, and so in part, Ella, is to blame you for the portrait of Stevie Wonder on my arm, or Eddie Murphy, or any other black celebrity you might think it might be. You're a great mother, and now an even better nana to the kids, and they're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
A big thank you to my groomsmen for being by my side today.
Yes.
Alan and Crouchy, thank you for arranging my stag do. 38 lads drinking and chatting rubbish in and around Cardiff. It was a terrific time. Oh, God. During my 20s, I would follow around England cricket team on various overseas trips. I did it with some cracking mates. From watching England lose and lose again, in Australia with Crouchy, climbing up Sigara Rock with Tiki in Sri Lanka, trying to avoid getting arrested after a boozy brunch in dodgy downtown Dubai with Barry. Fucking amazing loose man too, that. And Billy Wright. My roommate, everywhere we go.
Yeah.
India, Oz, no man has seen me in as bad a state as my mate Sponge. He's the only friend of mine who is currently tattooed on my body. I'm sure that'll change in the coming years. You have to beat me at beer pong.
Really?
When I moved to Upminster in '95, the first person I sacked to in year 2 was Ryan Cox.
Yeah.
Over the past 27 years, I can easily say he is one of the best blokes I know.
Yeah.
He was also by my side when in year 9 we were walking home from school and got abuse from a couple of lads up year above.
Yeah.
Ella has changed his line from what I wanted to say. But, so in a more PG version, we saw them off together and became the most popular kids at school for a couple of days. We smashed them up. And finally, my brother, my best friend, and as Ella may describe, as the third person in our relationship, because the amount of time we're talking to each other every single day. There's no better man to be telling you all a few of the 100 stories about me in 5 minutes or so of time. He's an excellent brother to me and a father, even though I do spend my weekends in his cricketing shadow. Thank you, lads, for being by my side today. Now on to the bridesmaids. And don't they all look beautiful today? I thankfully got on very well with Ella's friends, and it was a joy to hang out with them. All the artwork on the chalkboard you see here today was done by Tash. Thank you for that, Tash. You look great. I had my first festival experience with Tash, Jordan and Grace when we rocked Glastonbury in 2019, and they are terrific girls. And over the years, the Coon Martin parties are some of the best I've ever been to. And now Emily Tugg, possibly the reason we're all here today. Emily actually introduced me to Ella in 2016, and I was like, who's your mate? On the evening of my 27th birthday, Emily brought along Ella to the Comedy Store in London. Was it a setup? Maybe. Not that it mattered. I had been out for Will's birthday in Sandown during the day, and on the way back to London, popped into Majestic with Grumpy and Sponge, and downed a bottle of wine on the train to Waterloo. We got to the Comedy Store, and I ended up spending most of the night chucking up the bottle of wine, and I was not in a fit state to meet Ella properly at all. God. I did, though, spend the next 2 years asking Emily about Ella, and all I got back was, you're not her type. Well, Emily, look at us now, Emily. Look at us now. In all seriousness, thank you, girls, for being there for Ella, not just today, but every day. Isabella, Ella, Els, you look so stunning today, and I'm so proud to call you my wife. Since the first day we met, I knew you were someone special, and I wanted just to go out with you, really, and get to know you. So we met at St. Patrick's Day party, and thankfully we all got snowed in to this house somewhere in Surrey. It probably wasn't going to be that loose of a party. Watched some rugby, pretty chill one. But when I designated driver Grumpy, he got the text to say his Brentwood half marathon the next day was cancelled due to the snow. It was party time. Get some beers from the offie, and here we go. Let's have a party. I managed to get Ella on my beer pong team, even though her ball playing skills were questionable at best. We're having a great time, and even ended up painting my face like a Smurf and drew the famous Nickelodeon cartoon Cat Dog on my arm. Maybe I should get that inked for real. I don't need much persuasion for that one. I'll do it straight away. Thankfully, I managed to get her number. Next morning, I sent a text, and it was only just one tick on WhatsApp. She gave me the wrong number. Was this a sign she didn't want to go with me on a date? Backing myself, always, that I charmed her enough the previous night, I managed to get a real number off Tiggy. She tells me a few months later that when she was younger, back in the clubs, Ella would usually give out the wrong number if she didn't really like the guy. But then she did repeat this again when we were first sorting out everything with the church. She gave the priest the wrong number. Ella, I'm not sure what your subconscious is trying to tell you. You might be get the hell out of this. Since our first date, I hope you agree, it's been a fun ride together. We've travelled all over from Croatia, Santorini, Hamburg, Barbados, South Woodford, and you're the best travel buddy I've ever had. Sorry, Sponge. No. Sorry. I love your energy and outlook in life. You're always wanting to be out, seeing friends. Life is never so still since you've been together. I never thought I'd be spending my weekends grooming and mucking out a horse And I probably wouldn't do it for anyone else, but I'm happy to do it for you. Even if last weekend you called me a prissy London prick. Because I wouldn't go near a fresh one from Mocky. I'm from East London, by the way. I loved how you've embraced following cricket with me. Watching from a pool in Barbados may have helped that. But seeing you spending your summers listening to TMS or catching up with the Wakely Talenders or Grey Cricketer podcasts, I'm very lucky. Even though I feel playing twice a week in the summer could be coming to an abrupt end. I enjoyed arriving here today on the river with you, Ella. The boat was actually an old police boat, and the name of the vessel was Due in Time. I don't wish to compare marriage to a prison stretch, but at least if I was in prison, I'd be able to finish my sentence. In March 2020, when the pandemic hit, I planted my flag in Putney to live with my now wife. The lockdown was hard for a lot of people, but I actually had a great time. Spending those months living with you, Ella, that's where I knew we would eventually get married. Oh. Rock and roll forward another year, and then an overcast day in November. In a little town called Marlow, I popped the question, and once Ella stopped crying her bloody eyes out, I got the yes. There are so many things I love about you, Ella. From your natural kindness and thoughtfulness, I'm sure many people here can give an example of when you've gone the extra mile for them, and that's something I'll try and do for you. I do remember that early on, though, an example of how kind and caring Ella can be. The first time she ever ventured to Essex, on the train in, she met a South African guy, and when she met me outside the station, she asked me to offer this man a lift home. I'm happy to oblige, but I could never get over how Ella is always trying to help people. She also has not watched enough Netflix true crime documentaries, offering random men lifts home. Absolute bloody madness. I guess she's one of those people that always tries to see the best in people, and which is an excellent trait to have. But Ella does have some faults. And her main one is, which Emily and Tiggy will give me now, she's always late. Other than today, first time. Her motto is, being early is a waste of time. She will regularly test us out almost every weekend, and most of the time she gets so lucky that we make it wherever we're going every time by the absolute barest of margins. Thankfully, other than that attribute, she's pretty great. Thank you, Ella, for everything you do for me. You've made me a better man, and I'm lucky to have you. You're a beautiful girl, inside and out. I'm so happy we get to be husband and wife. I love how close you are with Freddie, Livy and Alfie, and it makes me so happy that they will have an auntie who would love them as much as I do. And I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you, Ella, create some more fun memories, never change, always be you, and I love you. Raise a glass, toast to my wife, Isabella Ison. Should have believed me.
Nikki, that was really, really amazing. And the teacher in me, obviously, brought a pen. So I started scribbling a lot of things down on my notes so that I could say things after your speech. A few things. First of all, wanting Ella to be on your beer pong team is an absolute disaster. Okay, you don't want her on your team. You learn that quickly. She's so bad. Anyway, and then of course she had to call you was it a prissy London prick? Because it's horse, not horse. All right, horse. Anyway. Another break from tradition, I'm handing over to the bridesmaids now. And that's really exciting. But also, if you know the bridesmaids, slightly terrifying because on the hen do, we were made to get up in the morning and do a HIIT workout, high knees, burpees, all of that. So I'm really hoping they're not going to make you do that this evening. So please put your hands together for the bridesmaids.
Should we go in our order? Let's go in our order. Hello. Oh God.
That's a really tough act to follow.
I've tried to control myself with booze because I know that we've had to do the speech tonight. So I apologise in advance. Just a quick one before. That was insanely beautiful, Nikki. That was fucked. Really fucked us, Nikki. So thanks for that. Just gonna start.
Just go.
We can't just. There's nothing we can do. Okay, we've written something for you. Ella asked us to write something together as a team, and it's very personal, but we hope you like it. And please laugh at any opportunity because that's all we've got really. Okay, we'll start. We have written a poem about our beautiful bride Ella and how she fell in love with her curly head fella. This poem was written over bottles of wine, so don't blame us if the rhyme is a crime.
So Ella was born, but you all know that. We'll fast forward some years and discuss her impact. I'm sure you all know Ella is our resident jockey. Biscuit, Scooby-Doo, Tiff, Fudge, Henry and Ocky. Mucking out the stables all day long. She looks like a princess, but her stench is strong. She is a dedicated poop shoveler, turning up worse for wear, blaming Emily for her state, dishevelled and untamed hair.
People think that she's polished and always doing fine, but Ella's driving is shocking and she can't keep the time. Ella loves to tell these stories, full-length, boring scripts. If the anecdote exceeds 3 minutes, we call them teeth and lips.
So boring.
But we love Ella so much, so now for something nice. Her body is hot, her ass makes you look twice. She most certainly has the best abs in Putney, even though she eats lots of cheese, covered in chutney. She likes to run 26.2 miles to be precise. She's so good at it, she completed it thrice. She loves her sport, once rugby and now cricket. She knows all the rules and watching Nikki get a wicket.
She's a wonderful wing woman, so watch out if you're single. Look around within your table. She sat you there to mingle. On a typical night out, she starts off full of class. By the end of the night, Ella's tits over us. If you've ever had the pleasure of seeing our drunk bride, the night usually ends up with chicken, and she probably will have cried. There's a story we cannot tell, and it rhymes with Schmomit Schmagina. If you want to hear it later, come buy us a winer.
Ella is our best friend through good times and bad. Great friend, flatmate, daughter, and the best Nikki's had. All jokes aside, Ella, you are one of a kind. You're the most incredible friend we could have ever wished to find. You're a 10 out of 10 and look so beautiful every day, but in this moment right now, we're completely blown away.
So now on to how she met Nikki, even though she was really picky. Ella's taste was a tall, tanned rugby man, and she's ended up with a short, tattooed cricket fan. Ella tested out all the apps and went on a fair few dates. She kissed a lot of frogs, not good enough for mates. But how did she meet Nikki, we hear you shout? Set up by me, who had no doubt they were perfect for each other and that love would come their way. So here we are 4 years later, sitting here today.
They love the 3 B's, beer, biltong and baths. They crack each other up, Ella even makes them laugh. One in Putney and one in Essex. What did we expect? The commute was long, but for love it was worth the trek.
Now let's talk about Nikki. We'll make sure it's a quickie. You're a babe, we love you, and you're so full of charm, and we know she'll be safe in your strong tattooed arm.
Thank you for loving our best mate as you do. We've never seen Ella more happy than when she's been with you. What a team you will make, so much stronger together. Now you guys are wed 4 years to forever. So let's raise a toast to the new Mr. and Mrs. Ison. Yeah, we should have. Don't toast it. Oh, hip hip.
Hip hip.
Hip hip.
That's all we want. Thanks. Where's the salmon? I only need one. I don't need 2.
Okay, so to the final speech. Alan, I had planned that we would have met and then I was going to find some sort of funny anecdote to introduce you with, and that hasn't happened. But I think you've got a really tough gig because all of those speeches have been really amazing. So all I'm going to say is, over to Alan. Uh-oh, he's got props.
Thank you. Sorry to piss in everyone's parade, this ain't going to be nice. All them speeches are far too nice for me, this ain't going to be I've got Bon outside. Divorce. Not bad. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's firstly raise the roof for Mr. and Mrs. Ison. Well, I was talking about me and my wife. Peter, thank you very much for thinking about Freddie. I greatly appreciate it. Last time I tried to speak about Freddie, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. So we don't want to get that happening today. Bridesmaids, well done for getting Ella here on time today. We know that is a massive achievement, given that there's timekeeping. And I also like to add, you all look lovely today as well. For those that don't know me, I'm Nikki's younger brother, Alan, and the better man. Oh, best man. And I get the pleasure of burying Nikki for the next 15 minutes. Now, looking at Nikki, you would think he's a young, sweet, quiet, innocent man. Your opinion's going to change 100% by the time I finish this speech. You right, Nick? How's Al? For those that don't know what that means, Nicky, every time Nicky goes around the Essex circuit, he's in my shadow. And everyone asks him, how Nick? You right, Nick? How's Al? And for anyone wondering, I am fine. Thank you for asking. I first met Nicky 31 years ago. 16th of November 1990. I don't remember too much about the day. I was going through quite a lot and trying to make my unforgettable entrance into the world. I am surprised Nicky has made it to the venue today, as his sense of direction is quite frankly appalling. He still uses a sat-nav to get from Putney to Upminster for cricket. I wouldn't be shocked if he used a sat-nav to get down the aisle today. Growing up with Nicky was always good fun, except from the fact is always, and will be the golden child in my mum's eyes. Yeah. And on that, and you shouldn't agree with that, Mum, for God's sake. And Misha, sorry, where's Misha? She told my mum earlier Nick's his favourite. She's over there. You said Nick's, I can't believe that. Kieran's my favourite. Your son Kieran's my favourite. He's just a shit keeper. Sorry, Kieran. We've got Adam next year, it's fine. Actually, while I'm on that note, I've got something for Nick. Congratulations, Nick, it's a golden child. Well done. Thank you, golden child. Pour that on your mantelpiece, you bastard. I do feel that award's very deserved. Growing up, Nick's always fun, playing cricket in the garden, pretending to be WWE wrestlers, and the occasional game of football. But Nicky couldn't decide what team he wanted to support. In his early years, Nicky supported West Ham, following our father's footsteps. He soon realised West Ham weren't massive everywhere they go. All right, Liv. Roll on the 94-95 season. Blackburn win the season. Blackburn win the season, Nicky's their biggest fan. That was short-lived. Nicky started supporting Manchester United after that, and now Nicky was their biggest fan. Unfortunately, Dad had to decorate the bedroom after Nicky, and I had to have that after him. Now a box room. To be fair, Nicky has stuck with Man U for a long time, but now they're complete dog shit. Don't be shocked if you see Nicky walking around with a Man City shirt on, with Haaland on the back, and he might move to Wanstead Cricket Club, because they always beat Upminster. During our time playing cricket in the garden, it would seem me and Nicky were both very competitive, to the extent we would use tools on each other. It was a shame DRS wasn't out years ago, as it may have saved a few injuries. First one, Nicky peeled for an LBW, and as everyone here would know, I am never out LBW. And as much to Nick's disdain, he picked the bat up and smacked me across the chest with it. Give Nick his due, it's the first time he's ever hit something so clean in all his life, other than the newly famous Twitter video, but I'll come back to that later in the speech. Second incident, Nikki was caught behind off myself, but sadly didn't walk. I didn't like the decision, so I decided to get a club hammer from the shed and throw it at Nikki. I hit Nikki in the wrist and I nearly broke it. Nick should definitely now give me credit, as now he's become a decent off spinner, so I've given him some more flexibility in his wrist. During our school times, myself and Nick would have skinheads at school. We would look like the Mitchell brothers, or members of the EDL. And it was safe to say we were avoided in the playgrounds. Nikki was always the intelligent one at school and got the best grades out of us all. What a goody two-shoes he was. Nikki used to be a fussy eater back in the day, and a story I got off my dad was when Nikki went on a school trip, he was quite fussy in his youth, and my mum and dad had to pack 40 Mars bars. Nikki came back from the school trip and sadly didn't leave any Mars bars for me. Safe to say, my dad's still paying the plumber back after the blockages when Nick come back from school. It was really nice to go to church today, so I think it's now appropriate time to confess some sins. My mum was the manager at Woolworths in Upminster, and Nikki used to work there. What my mother doesn't know about her golden child is he used to steal from Woolworths. And I'm pretty sure Nikki was the reason that Woolworths went bust. Mum, do you remember we used to come home from work and say someone's been nicking all the chewing gum? It was Nick. Of all the things Nicky could have stolen, it was peppermint gum. That'd be a very funny story in court. I'm sorry, Judge. I stole some gum. I had garlic bread for lunch. It worked well for me though, because Nicky would tell me where the CCTV camera was. So I would go and steal a couple of bits as well. A few weeks ago, as I was writing this speech, social media erupted regarding Nikki. Ella, do you realise you're marrying a man who doesn't obey by the spirit of cricket? For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Nikki is a social media superstar. But for the wrong reasons. Nikki was clearly caught behind against Ilford TC, however didn't walk and decided to point at his leg. Luckily, Upminster records all our games and it was caught, and Twitter has blown up regarding it. Nikki cheated. Viva la raza. I have a few tweets quoting some really nice things about Nick. From Mark Wildin. Absolutely no integrity or honour. Be gone with you, foul cheat. I hope his parents get to see it. Well, Mark, my dad was there watching it. And he's always taught us, never walk. From Musty Rover. Some people play an honest game. Some people are the types who park in disabled parking bays. From Mike. The awkward moment when you open Twitter and see you've been exposed as a cheat. Nicky's favourite player was always Steve Smith. Fred the Red. Wouldn't buy a second-hand car for this fella. And lastly, Cricket Badgers. To say it come off his bat is embarrassing. Actually, mate, it come off his leg. It's a joke to see in cricket. He's a disgrace to his family for not walking in club cricket. Off his bat, more like his belly. I did reply to Cricket Badger and say we was all deeply saddened as a family. Big thanks to Scott Hammond for sharing the video on Twitter and providing some comedy gold. Yes, baby girl. At least she finds it funny, it's fine. I've got a couple of messages from lads Nikki shared Australian experiences with. Firstly, Scott Jessup from Australia. Nikki, congrats, brother. Australia is finally happy you're settling down, as in most cases, once he gets married, Australia won't have to deal with you as much on balmy army tours. And I'm not doing the next accent, fuck that. Oh, excuse my language. Adam Hopkins, whom Nikki spent his Australian winter with. Congrats, Nikki, from Adam and the rest of the lads from Quest, Paran, Flat 732 in Melbourne. Adam also shared his favourite memory with you, Nikki. Oh shit, he says. All the lads have gone for a night out in Hawthorne and they lost Nikki. The usual fault when they lose someone, oh, he's pulled a Sheila. However, it turned out when they got back to the flat, Nikki was sat there on the sofa at 2 a.m. in the morning just with his boxers on. Nikki had a bowl of custard and he was watching How I Met Your Mother. That's a very Nikki thing to do. I've also got a story from one of the groomsmen, Billy Callis. Billy Callis. Billy Callis is a great all-rounder at amateur first team cricket. Nikki was on a trip in Sri Lanka 2014 with Billy. Nikki was sunbathing before the game. It was very warm. When he got to the game, he got to the stadium, he stunk so bad. A Sri Lankan resident was shouting at him, "You stink." Ironic, really. The ground didn't smell that great either. And it got worse because the smell of Nikki was so bad, another local and Sri Lankan community had to spray him with deodorant. It's quite amazing, really, that Nikki smells so bad, as he doesn't have an ounce of hair on his body. Nikki, it's nice to see you finally settle down with your lovely wife Ella, who, might add, looks lovely today. You have come a long way from scouting Indian Tinder. Unfortunately, your real, true love couldn't be here today. Keith Ormsley. The first time I met Ella was back at my wedding in 2018. Unfortunately, I didn't really get a good chance to have a chat with Ella. Ella got so drunk at my wedding, she tried to give the DJ her shoes. The DJ is the band, DJ, just be careful later. Ella may decide to give you her shoes. But I knew right then Ella would fit in perfectly. Lastly, after all the funny, embarrassing stories about Nikki, I would like to thank him for being a supportive older brother and brother-in-law to me and Hannah. We went through a tough time many years ago with Freddie, and Nikki was always there to support no matter what. I'd like to thank you both dearly I'd like to thank you both dearly for the bond you have with my kids. It's something special and it's beautiful to see. I do miss the day my Freddy Bear doesn't call you Uncle Icky. Now hurry up and have some kids. Everyone needs an Uncle Alan in their life. Nikki, thank you for asking me to be a best man today. It's a privilege to do this. I can see how happy you make each other, and I wish you both nothing but happiness, and wish you all the happiness in your future together. So, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you all to stand. Raise your glasses to the new husband and wife. We wish you well. To Mr. and Mrs. Ison. Thank you.